let's get into the polls. Things are changing for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. It appears that Kamala's honeymoon period has ended. And I want you to see what is coming out now. Now, Nate Silver is a pollster, so to speak, and he makes these predictions every election cycle. He made a prediction for Kamala Harris that if she came out of the DNC for 2024 with a plus 14, similar to Barack Obama, that she would be on track to win the Electoral College. That did not happen. And now Nate has changed his model. And now we can see this. Kamala Harris trails Donald Trump in 5 new battleground polls. So we can see the change is already happening here. And they're talking about this here. We'll get into this survey. Surveys by Republican pollsters, Trafalgar Group, of 3 of the key battleground states, which could determine who wins the 2024 election, show that Donald Trump is beating Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Harris and Trump are neck and neck in Michigan. So let's look at this a little bit closer. Top pollster finds that Donald Trump is gaining momentum against Kamala Harris with a 58% chance of winning the 2024 race. This is wild. And this article was released yesterday, September 4, right? So this is coming from Nate Silver. Former President Donald Trump, chances of winning the 2024 election have surged in the last month, with Vice President Kamala Harris has struggled to find a second gear. Now, this is according to guru Nate Silver. The data analyst and founder of 538 revealed on Wednesday that his presidential race model now indicates that Trump has a 58.2% chance of winning the Electoral College in November compared to Kamala Harris. He is now predicting she has a 41.6% chance to win the Electoral College. Trump's chances of winning are his highest since July 30th, and the chance of the Electoral College popular vote split working against Harris has risen to almost 18%. So people started freaking out when they saw this from him on Twitter. Again, this is Nate Silver. I recommend following him. Today's update. There's room to debate the convention bounce stuff, but Harris has been getting a lot of mediocre state polls lately. The chance of Harris winning the popular vote but losing the Electoral College has risen to 18%. And he's talking about here crazy and not so crazy scenarios. We'll come back to that another time when I think we get closer to November. But this is the part I really want to focus on here. In addition to Pennsylvania, Michigan has become something of an issue for Harris. National polls and polls of other swing states, mostly decent for Harris, but erosion in Pennsylvania and Michigan hurts a lot in the model. And I can show you what he means here. Michigan polls included in our model. So you can see they have Emerson, the Trafalgar Group, weird name there. Glengarriff Group, Redfield and Wilton, and Epic MRA. So these are the polls that he's looking at here. And what you will see is that Emerson had, for Michigan, they had Kamala Harris at 51, Donald Trump at 48. The Trafalgar Group had her at 47 and him at 47. Glengarriff Group has her at 44, Donald Trump at 45, and Redfield has Harris at 47, Trump at 44, and Epic has Harris at 46 and Trump at 47. Then when we switch over, now you're starting to see with Morning Consult, this is where you'll see some of the difference come in here. Like she, at one point with Morning Consult, they had her at 49, Trump at 47, SSRS 48, had him at 43. So you can see here with these polls earlier on in August, she was doing pretty well in Michigan, with the exception of the Fabrizio poll here. She was ahead of Donald Trump. However, as August went on, we are starting to see a shift here. So now Michigan has become basically a tie for both of them, when at the beginning of August, she was leading in Michigan. So again, I think that was still part of the honeymoon period. As I said before, he said that if she didn't get that 14-point bump like Barack Obama received after the DNC, that she could win the popular vote and still lose the Electoral College. Barack Obama won both. So the problem that Kamala Harris is running into is that, unfortunately for her, after the DNC, she did not receive a large bump compared to someone like Barack Obama. Now, why is that important? Barack Obama, 2008, if I remember my numbers correctly, I believe he received like 98% of the Black vote. And in 2012, I think it was 95% of the Black vote. Hillary Clinton got way less than that. Joe Biden got less than that. And Kamala Harris right now, support among Black American voters, it says it's around 70%. So if you notice, the number tends to is continuing to decrease with Black voters since Barack Obama. And to win as a Democrat candidate for president, you do need the Black vote. So I'm going to show you two possible scenarios because we're going to do 270 to win. Now, the first prediction that I am going to make is Pennsylvania and Georgia. So what we got to remember about Pennsylvania and Georgia, this is especially important. 2020 and 2016, the candidate that won Pennsylvania also won Georgia. In 2020, Joe Biden won Pennsylvania and Georgia. In 2016, Donald Trump won Pennsylvania and Georgia. So they seem to have a pattern here. Doesn't mean it will happen again, but it doesn't mean, we should overlook it. I'm seeing a pattern. So let's not ignore that. Just something to pay close attention to. Now, I don't know why this keeps changing. I'm just changing my states here so you guys can see, so we can play this real quick. We're going to do two different scenarios here for 270 to win. Now, the states that you see that are this tan kind of color, those are the swing states. I'm not counting North Carolina. I know they're saying North Carolina is in play. I think North Carolina will still be red. But maybe for shits and giggles, maybe we should do this anyway. All right. So I'm going to make a prediction. The first round of predictions. Let's say that Trump wins North Carolina. Let's say he wins Arizona. Again, I think Arizona might be red because of, again, it's a border state and people are having issues with the border. So I think that could be possible. Plus, Trump won it in 2016. I know Biden won it in 2020, but let's just, again, it seems like things are starting to change back to similarities towards 2016. I'm going to give Nevada, I'm actually going to be nice here and we're going to do something different. I'm going to give Nevada, let's say that holds blue. We're going to do two different scenarios for the Democrats. Now, let's go over here to Wisconsin. Wisconsin is the more conservative state of the three here of Minnesota and Michigan. Wisconsin is the more conservative one. But let's say I just go out on a limb and say she might be able to pull it off in Wisconsin. Kamala. Now, right now, as you can see, Democrats 242, Republicans 246. So you see how close it is already now? Now, let's go ahead and say that we're going to give Michigan to Kamala as well. They're neck and neck for that. So right now, as you can see, we're giving Kamala Nevada, we're giving her Wisconsin, and we're giving her Michigan. Okay. As you can see, we're at 257 for the Democrats. If we are following the same trend that has happened in 2020 and 2016, where the candidate that won Pennsylvania also won Georgia, this is the problem that Kamala Harris may run into. Right now, she's not doing well in Pennsylvania. So if I'm going by that same trend that I told you, we're going to give Pennsylvania to Donald Trump. And if we're continuing the trend, we would give Georgia to Donald Trump. That would put the Republicans at 281, and that would put the Democrats at 257. In this scenario, Kamala Harris would lose even though she won Michigan. These are the things that people need to see. This is why I was saying it's not just her winning Michigan. Once we start to play around with the numbers, you see what I'm talking about, right? Now we're going to do the other scenario. Let me pop back in. Let's change these bad boys. Let's say that she wins Arizona. Let's say she pulls out in Arizona. She ends up doing well there. But let's say she doesn't win Michigan. Nate Silver right now is saying that this is becoming a problem for her, Michigan. We're giving her Wisconsin still. Okay. Let's say this trend doesn't happen again with Pennsylvania and Georgia. Let's say she actually does win Georgia, just like Biden, right? She's campaigning pretty heavily down there. So let's say she does win Georgia. And let's say she wins Pennsylvania. We'll make that a light blue. Now that would put Kamala Harris at 288 and that would put Donald Trump at 250. But the point that I'm trying to make is if Kamala Harris does not win Michigan, it looks like she would need to win Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. I would be very shocked if Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania and Georgia. And I think this is the problem, guys. I think this is why the Democrats are panicking, because they've seen the internal polls. This surge that Kamala had at the very beginning when she announced her presidency, that honeymoon period has started to end. And so now they're starting to say, oh, wait a minute, how is it that Donald Trump is gaining again in these states when she was ahead of him? Now, obviously, Michigan, this one is the Gaza issue is a big one for Muslim voters. Michigan has the largest, Arab population in the country. We don't know. The uncommitted voters, the co-founders said they endorse Kamala Harris. They're still not happy with her policy, but they endorse her. Is that how all the other members of the uncommitted coalition feel? I had one of them on the show. They told me they didn't feel that way. So we don't know. So Michigan, we're going to have to keep our eye on very closely. Now, what would really be crazy is if she won Georgia, but she did not win Pennsylvania, which has not been the trend the past two election cycles. If that were to happen, they would get tied. Does everybody see this, the tie? If Kamala Harris loses Pennsylvania, but wins Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and Wisconsin, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris would have a tie for the Electoral College, 269 and 269. But that hasn't been the trend. Either way, this isn't going to be, I think, as easy for her as it was for Biden. I think the way that Nate Silver is, that's right, New York Varsity. If it's a tie, Congress votes in the president. That's right. But the way that Nate Silver is warning people about this now, I don't know, man. I don't know. Is that Zeneb? Zeneb said, oh, Lord, a tie would be insane. Yeah, because then it would go back to Congress. And I don't know. All I'm saying is Neither one of them have it in the bag, but I don't think it is going to be easy for Kamala, especially now that her surge and her fandom or whatever, you know, her like coconut fever thing that was happening and stuff, that's starting to die down now. And then there was the interview. And then there are people that are upset about the comments about, you know, the arms to Gaza. So that being said, it is not going to be easy for Kamala Harris to win some of these swing states. And I don't even know about Wisconsin. I gave her Wisconsin. You know, I was like, maybe, you know, a lot of the college students in Madison will come out and stuff. I gave her that one, but that is the more conservative state out of Minnesota and Michigan. So it's close. It's still going to be close. And I think people should pay attention to what Nate Silver is saying. It's really hard to accomplish what Obama accomplished in 2008. I have not seen that type of energy at the polls since then. Not that type. He got like 98% of the black vote. So we will have to wait and see.